as well.
Thank you all for coming. For the record, staff is present with the exception of our finance director, who is on professional training, and council is present with the exception of Councilmember Lemley, who's on travel, and Councilmember Owens, who is feeling ill this evening, so we'll all hope that he gets better soon. He called me this morning, and it really didn't sound good, so we hope Chuck gets better soon. At this time, I would entertain a motion to excuse Councilmember Lemley and Councilmember Owens' absence.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to excuse those absences. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you very much. So, council knows the drill. We're on the consent calendar. We have items A through E. If there's anything on there that you want to talk about or pull, let me know at this time. Otherwise, I await your motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda items A through E.
Second.
The motion was made by Councilmember Kinzer and seconded by Councilmember Cornegay to approve the consent calendar items A through E. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And it carries unanimously. That brings us to item 4. Well, as most of you know, I usually wear a T-shirt, so if I wear a shirt, that means something's up. And if I put on the jacket, that means we're really, it's serious stuff, but it's fun.
Good stuff.
So tonight it's my distinct honor to honor a couple of officers. We have a promotion. That's big news. And we also have a new officer joining our reserves. So at this time...
Sorry, I'm not on silent.
Officer Paul Eaton, can you please come up? Chief?
There'll be a photo op.
That's cute.
Oh, my gosh.
This is as good as it gets. So, raise your right hand, please. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I am a citizen of the United States and of the state of Washington. That I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States.
I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States.
And the Constitution and the laws of the state of Washington.
The Constitution and the laws of the state of Washington.
Which word gets tricky. And I will do to the best of my judgment, skill, and ability.
I will do to the best of my judgment, skill, and ability.
Truly, faithfully, and impartially.
Truly, faithfully, and impartially.
Perform the duties of the office of police sergeant.
Say it one more time.
Perform the duties of the office of police sergeant.
Perform the duties of police sergeant.
In and for the city of Sedro-Woolley.
In and for the city of Sedro-Woolley.
Skagit County, Washington.
Skagit County, Washington.
As such duties are prescribed by law.
And such duties are prescribed by law.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Well, that's great.
Christina Belt, front and center. This is the bonus, because we weren't sure, but we're sure excited.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I am a citizen of the United States and of the state of Washington. That I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington. best of my judgment, skill, and ability, truly, faithfully, and impartially, perform the duties of office of Police Reserve Officer.
Perform the duties
Of the office of
of the office of
Police Reserve Officer
Police Reserve Officer
in and for the city of Sedro-Woolley,
in and for the city of Sedro-Woolley,
Skagit County, Washington,
Skagit County, Washington,
as such duties are prescribed by law.
as such duties are prescribed by law.
God. Welcome to the team. Would you like to have a
Oh, not here.
Oh, not here. Okay. Thank you very much.
I just want to say something real quick, just to let you know, Christina just finished the Reserve Academy and basic training to get on board the computer system. Sergeant Harris here was in charge of the Reserve Academy this last time, and we are lucky to have Christina join our group. We're hoping we have her for a little while, and people like her are easy to snatch up, and she's actually on our hiring list to hire full-time, as well as I think another agency or two is going to be in competition, maybe to hire her full-time. Paul's been with us for how many years now, Paul?
13 and a half.
13 and a half, and we're very proud to have him move into a supervisor position. We're actually going to share some of the pain that the rest of us in the supervisory area are carrying right now. Two of my sergeants are sitting right here, and he'll be forward. So if you give them both a hand, you have
So while we're on the topic of law and order, I want to talk a little bit about yesterday's ribbon-cutting ceremony for the new jail. It's a great day for Skagit County. I got to participate, got the little ribbon-cutting souvenir, and I want to thank some people. I want to thank Mike Anderson, who allowed me to go down and sit and be one of the city's representatives on that board that finally worked it out after 12 years. But I want to thank Aaron Berg, because I sat through all those meetings, and we would not have got that jail deal done the way we did without Aaron. And Aaron, I'm going to give you my souvenir. It's the only one I've got, but you earned it.
Very good. So let's get to work.
Yeah, now's the time to make your dash if you just came for the fun stuff. I'll give these our police a chance to clear out here.
Because there was such a mob scene.
Okay, this brings us to item 5 on the agenda, public comment period. For those of you who would like to make a public comment, you may do so at the lectern. I remind you that you're allowed 3 minutes. Please address the council, not each other, and it's not a question and answer period. I would remind people that if you came to talk about the library partnership, we will have a special public comment period for that before we discuss the interlocal agreements. So do I have any takers at the microphone for public comment period not associated with interlocal agreements? Yes, sir. Step up. And please state your name and address for the record.
I was waiting for somebody else to be nobody did. I'm Dennis O'Neill. I reside at 109 Telcott Street. And the first thing on my mind is this article I'm sure you all read in the paper, how I called all the council members, what was it? Oh, deaf, dumb, and stupid. Because they never reply to our concerns, nor does anybody in the last 10 years I've been here, 5 especially, when I came a lot, is nobody ever replies to concerns. And since you don't answer concerns from the public, we really don't get very many answers. And that's what most of us are here for. But I think that my choice of words were very poor, and I apologize for that, because that was almost a personal slam, and it was not meant to be. I don't think I'd like somebody calling me names like that. You know, I think it'd be time to move to a state that allowed you to carry guns. Not really. Anyway, so I do apologize to all of you for that. My concern has been, always is and you've heard the term rubber stamping of things that go on. Very little discussion up there. I know you have your work study group, but most of us don't participate in that. And I don't know if there's really a recording on the system that takes advantage of that, since you meet in the adjacent room over here. One of the things that's really got me going, along with something I read tonight, is the article that Aaron Berg put out here in the May 2017 publication, Sedro-Woolley City Scene. And I was frustrated because none of you have addressed that, what he said. And I don't hear a lot of it from anything that comes up that you really take point with it. You just seem to go with the flow. It's easier. There's no resistance. You're probably a lot more welcome during the council meetings if you don't raise too many issues and run the time on too far. But anyway, I'm not trying to pick on you, Aaron, but the city scene was headlined Representative Democracy, Time to Get Involved. And my comment, unfortunately, I'll just read this. Unfortunately, after such a great starting title, Attorney Berg then goes on to state that when we vote for council members, they and the mayor will be the only ones allowed to vote for the public good and benefit. What happened to the public voting on their own issues, such as the library? I'm not going any further with that. It was never allowed. Negotiations were secret because you didn't want to display your hand, like your card hand. But I wonder, shouldn't it be really the people of Sedro-Woolley who pay the taxes and raise our families here to have the direct vote that's slowly being taken away? Now, you might have a little bit more input in that than anybody out here, but it's not occurring. You're just going with that direction, the flow.
30 seconds.
Really, did anybody realize that we needed big brothers to vote our issues that affect all of us for many years to come? Well, I don't believe we need someone to take away our right to vote. Maybe you do. If you can't find a copy of the article, I'll give it to you. But most voters are going to pause on that. They're going to wonder what you're doing if you're not stepping up. And I did read a pamphlet that was handed out in my neighborhood. It didn't come to me, Brenda. But it wasn't mentioned. And the only thing it mentions is all the things that you do as a group. I want to know if I'm voting and why I'm...
And your time is up.
Really?
Okay, I want to know why I'm voting for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Anybody else for public comment?
Dennis, your paper.
Okay. At this time, I'll close the public comment period. We move on to unfinished business, which is item 6, the library partnership interlocal agreements. This is a second reading, and the recommended motions are on page 36. But before we get to that, I will allow public comment on the interlocal agreements for anyone who wishes to make it. Same rules apply, 3 minutes, and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Mary Anderson. I live at 928 Beachley Road. Today is a sad day for Sedro-Woolley. With the passage of these ILAs, it is the day when the Sedro-Woolley City Council announces to the world that after supporting and funding a Carnegie-endowed library for over 100 years, the city government of Sedro-Woolley no longer supports literacy, education, nor culture for its citizens. Without even asking its citizens, which is in fact Washington state law, the Sedro-Woolley City Council is gifting over $2 million worth of citizen-owned assets to a county entity, raising citizens' taxes for a building in which they will not have a controlling interest, and refusing to guarantee representation for those tax increases, which equates taxation without representation. It is annexation in all but name, and without the vote of the people. In Instead of these ILAs, which are so ambiguous no one really knows what they'll entail, instead of these ILAs, why not consider 1. Continuing reciprocal borrowing with Central Skagit Library, and 2. Taking out a small bond to upgrade our current city library, which would then A. Continue to give all Central Skagit Library residents access to a fully functioning and well-stocked library. B. Allow Sedro-Woolley citizens to retain their heritage and proud tradition of supporting their 103-year-old library with improvements. And C. Keep residents' taxes low and ensure their tax dollars are spent on them and not on the county. The current ILAs benefit the Central Skagit Library residents at the expense of the Sedro-Woolley citizens, who will bear the financial burden and reap little reward with no guaranteed representation or say. I simply can't understand a city council voting for something that puts county residents ahead of their own city residents, especially without a vote. One final note. It needs to be understood that normal culling of library collections is not the standard for Sedro-Woolley. We have carefully retained good books that other libraries have discarded. One of the reasons we have the premier mystery collection in the Valley, and have kept many older classics which have disappeared from other libraries.
Got about 15 seconds.
Consider your vote carefully tonight. I'll repeat that. Please consider your vote carefully tonight and know that it will be remembered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Anyone else for public comment on interlocal agreements? Oh, got one ahead of you. I'll get to you, though.
Paula Kelly, 407 State Street, Sedro-Woolley. I believe I have been represented on this issue. I believe that the council has acted in good faith and that the city has went through many public hearings over the past year on this issue. They've given everybody an opportunity to come before them, to speak about it, and to offer their opinions. I personally find it a bit disconcerting that it is city library employees that have taken the most public stand against expanding a library system within our community. And I consider our community to be more than just the city limits, even though I know that that's what you represent today. But we have the second largest school district in the state of Washington, and it has always been important for kids outside of the city limits to be able to access those things as well. And I've also heard from different members of the community. One of them was someone I went to high school with in the 60s. Here in Sedro-Woolley, who said that she was denied a library card at our local city library because her driver's license was 3 years old and so therefore couldn't be considered accurate, and that she also was told that because she didn't have any utility bills in her name, they were all in her husband's name, that didn't prove...
Got about 30 seconds.
Okay. And so I think that we should go forward with this idea. I am for it. I think that there's many people in the valley that are, and especially in town. So, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Anyone else for the mic? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Shelley Gray. I temporarily reside for a few years at 809 Lucas Drive. I used to live here in the valley, and I was raised in Diablo. When I came here from King County, which I had access to 48 libraries and one traveling library, one of the first things I did as a voracious reader was go to check out the local library. And I thought, I'm sorry, but oh dear, what a podunk library there must be. I was wrong, and I had to verbally apologize. I have never received such wonderful care, such a well-stocked, I came from the Covington area, well-stocked library. And I can go to Costco and see a hardback book, go to the Sedro-Woolley Library, and instead of number 200 and something large print or 300 regular, I'm number 1 to 3 to get a book. And those women there, mainly women, can find any book on this well-stocked building as if they're blind people or someone with Braille. And I'm used to some people that are in that library in a big city knowing me by first name. I am greeted by first name. Now, every person, no matter what, generally, that comes to speak or writes a letter, there's 7 people that don't. And so I am appalled at what I have been hearing, reading, and also that I'm going to vote on this. And I believe that is totally wrong, and I am saying, in my opinion, so I'm covering myself. And so I am so sorry to hear this. And when I have been working since 17, I have been, peon, I've been all the way up to, sorry, not used to
about 30 seconds.
Anyway, into management. Generally, they want to fix something, and in the end, it's not broken. They go back to the beginning. This is not broken, and you're trying to fix a perfectly good entity, and I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Anyone else for the public comment period? Yes, sir.
I'm Ed Kugel. I live at 501 Fidalgo Street. I want to say that I'm opposed to this agreement. I feel like the process has been flawed. First off, I think our own librarian should have been consulted before an agreement was struck by the mayor with the county. I think he should have consulted our librarians before he consulted with the county librarians. Now, the main thing with this problem, I think, is the classic con. We're being told we're going to get something for nothing. We're not going to pay any more money. It's not going to cost us a dime, and we're going to get this great library. I wish it were true. I hope it's true. But this looks like a classic con to me as far as the politician. The can is going to be kicked down the road, and if we do get this new library, I don't think it's going to be as cheap as it's being sold for. Now, I'd like to see you reconsider and think that our old library system isn't better than what the mayor proposes. If we do nothing, we are going to have 17,000 square feet of library space in the city. The county's going to build 10, and we already have a little bit over 6. Now, let's see if on this proposal, the mayor can build us a library that's over 17,000 square feet. If he can do that, then maybe his plan has some merit. But if not, I think maybe we should go back to the drawing board and stick with the good library we have. I think if you ask the patrons, most of them would agree they are happy with the library we have now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Nicole, and my address is 627 Ball Street. And I heard talking about a new library. To me, new library is good. But the thing is, we need to concern about budget. And then the budget, where it come from? Of course, there come taxpayer, especially in affected property. And then, matter of fact, since I moved to Washington State from Arizona, we bought a house, and every year we got a property tax like this. And then we just received that escrow account from Wells Fargo. They say, oh, you have to pay more the escrow account because property tax out. And I know that everybody say, oh, we got a new private library, we won't raise that. I doubt it. Because you know what? People, they play games. I knew that. So, if we got a new library, but without taxpayer raise up, that's a good news. But it never happened since I moved to United States since 1992. I never see that happens at all. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicole. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Loretta Sarnin, 821 Park Cottage Place in Sedro-Woolley. And as all of you know, sitting up there, that I oppose this library merger. And I've stated those reasons quite often, and the same reasons quite frequently. So I would just like to address a few things about our community and the impact the library has on the community. And our library is the heart of the community. And I've heard wistful comments from long-term residents about the Carnegie Library and how that was lost. And that you can never have those things back again. And you go to communities like in Bellingham and Seattle and everything, where they reviewed and maintained the Carnegie Library. Because once this moves ahead, we have lost control of something that was built by the community, by people who are involved and invested in their community, wanting this. I personally want to thank our librarians, because as I know, the chief of police, the fire chief, everyone, when your department is tasked with possible merger with other people, I'm sure that they would come to you with solutions too. Let's say if you were going to merge with Burlington. So I want to thank them, because that's one of your tasks and job, as you know, sitting on this council, is to protect the city, to look out for your citizens. And so, yes, because personally, from being in the process of going through this since February, I don't think that we've looked for creative solutions, because one of the biggest points brought up in the very beginning was, oh, these students cannot access our library. Well, at any time, you, the city council, could have extended the library, but that wasn't an option you picked up. And right now, we have a county library because that was not picked up by our own public library. We now have a library that's serving those people. So that's the problem has been, as presented in the original proposal, has been solved. Now we have an agreement. And that is a district that has a huge range, as I wrote in a piece for the paper. And they could have inner agreements because the people from Clear Lake, the people who live way on the other side, the people that live upriver, that sort of thing, making it more accessible, because everyone still has to come to Sedro-Woolley. And I always maintain that libraries are an important base for our democracy, and we need more libraries, not more. So good health to the Skagit and good health to our library. Thank you.
Thank you, Loretta. Anybody else for the public comment period? Okay. Yes, ma'am. She beat you, Harold. I'll get to you.
Okay, once again, Robin Gillis, Jameson Street, Sedro-Woolley. I am so concerned about, I know I asked 100 questions last time about the budget. I'm concerned about the fact that it says in the proposal that it's going to be $8 million to build this library. Originally it started out as a $3 million bond, and we were going to cover that expense by the money we're already paying our current local library. We've already been turned down by the state for the $2 million extra they wanted, so then I heard it was going to be $5 million for that same $350,000 that originally was only going to cover $3 million. So how is $350,000 going to cover $5 million? And this thing just keeps growing and growing, and the last I heard, this contract is going to be signed with no location, no amount of money spent, no size of building, and as far as I'm concerned, the whole thing has been a mess and a nightmare, and it needs to go away, and you need to leave our library alone and let it stay how it is. And the rural district, whatever their name is, already got everything they want. We gave them reciprocal borrowing. They're using our library for free. Why would they sign a contract and spend all their money on building a building, having more this and that and whatever, when they've already got everything they need? They don't need us anymore. They just spent $350,000 or whatever remodeling an office uptown. They could have a digital library. They don't need our books. They don't need our library, and we don't need them. And I'm really sad that this library, for some reason, is being picked on. I'd like to know who's getting the monetary kickback, who's getting whatever is driving the force behind this library. And I would just like to ask you people, if you leave your conscience parked at the door when you come in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Harold, you're up.
Harold Beitler, 1207 Jameson Street, Sedro-Woolley. Council people, you've got a hot potato to handle. You're not going to make everybody happy with your decision. I grant you that. I think what you ought to take a hard look at, and what I've done in the past, when I've been painted into a corner, I'd look for an exit, look for some way of retreating, getting out of it. You people have got an excellent idea in the back of your mind, if you just think about it, to get out of this hot potato business. Put it up to the vote of the citizens of Sedro-Woolley. Do you or do you not want a library? We've got a good library. We've got a good staff down there. I've used it several times, and I have no complaints whatsoever. Quite the opposite. They've been excellent. In fact, I mentioned this about a month back. I went and asked about a certain book. Oh, yes, we got it. They pulled up on the computer. While I was sitting there talking to the lady, here come the book, lay in front of me. I didn't really want to get it at the time because I had a couple more at home I was reading. But because they went to the effort to get it read to me, I took it home and read the thing. But I think we need to do it. Now, what's going through my mind, listen to this, we're going to maybe give our library to the county. What's the next step? Are we going to give our fire department to the county? Are we going to give our police department to the county? Well, the other towns have done this. Are we going to do it? Lord have mercy, I hope not. We've got a number one department both in fire and police here. I'm going to keep it that way. But, like I say, it's step one. Real quick, Seattle, right now, they're talking about an income tax. $500,000 for a family, $250,000 for a single. They pass it. Okay, great. You're going to get the people that's got all the money in their hip pocket, they're going to hit them for the money. A year from now, that $250,000 for a single is down to $100,000. 2 or 3 years down, maybe to 50,000. Pretty soon, everybody will be paying it. So just give it some to somebody else has done it. I've always lived with the opinion, charity starts at home. Keep your money at home. Use it. It's nice to help somebody else sometimes. But giving a library away, I do not think is the answer. Again, I suggest you take a look at it. Put this up to the vote of the people. Put it on the ballot. I mean a good ballot, not that phony baloney we had several years ago to build this building. That was the biggest farce. I don't know how many people remember that one.
30 seconds, Harold.
I'm about done. But I'd like to see it actually go before the people. Let them decide, do they want to throw that library away and go to the county, or keep it the way it is, and maybe take a little more money and put it with it to expand it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Harold. Anybody else? Okay, at this time I close the public comment period with respect to the library interlocal agreements. Council, this is a second reading, and your recommended motions are on page 36. So there's 3 motions. Aaron, do you want to go over this for us?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So the 3 recommended motions each relate to a different resolution. The first resolution is the resolution that formally approves the 3 interlocal agreements. The second resolution delegates authority to the city supervisor to contract for the pre-design process in an amount not to exceed the budgeted amount in the agreement. And the third resolution is a bond reimbursement resolution that allows for the dollars that are spent from the point of that resolution being passed to the issuance of the bond to be reimbursed through the tax benefited bond. So it's really, that third one's kind of a placeholder in case it's necessary to get those dollars reimbursed. For example, if property acquisition were to come up in advance of bond issuance, which is very likely what would happen, those dollars will have to be fronted by one of the 2 parties, and then they could be reimbursed out of the proceeds. So it's those 3. I guess the only other thing I'd mention is in terms of changes from the first reading on these on June 14th. This is, of course, the 4th meeting identified under Resolution 943-16, so meeting 4. And there are a couple, 3 different changes. They're all in the Building Joint Development and Ownership Agreement. One is the addition of paragraph 12C that addresses what happens if the voters of Skagit County create a countywide library district. And what happens as this is drafted is just kind of 2 different scenarios, but essentially what it says is if the new countywide district accepts all of the rights and responsibilities under these agreements, then the agreements continue on, and the county library district stands in the shoes of the rural partial county library district. If, on the other hand, they do not accept all of the rights and responsibilities under the 3 interlocal agreements, then the library and its assets are transferred back to the city. So consistent with our other scenarios, such as the dissolution of the district scenario under 12B. We also add, and that was one of the changes there, was to reference RCW 2712-320, which is the dissolution process. We also added paragraph 24A, which is just a really basic high-level review of the project time frame. And if this is adopted tonight, then the next steps will be the District Library Board, of course, has to also adopt it in order to move forward, and they've got it on their agenda for the next meeting. The next steps then would be to begin the pre-design process, which will include everything we've talked about before, but certainly will include the public process, and will culminate with a recommendation for the City Council and the District Board regarding the location, concept design, and budget. And those 3 decision points then will be back before each board for really an up or down vote. And if both boards say, all right, we like it, this can work, that's when the agreements become fully vested. So the second element of the agreement kicks in, and we begin to move forward in earnest with constructing the new library facility and consolidating operations. So you heard tonight the comment that you're approving an agreement before you even know what it will be. That's true. These agreements establish a process, and those three decisions are the touchstone of the kind of the final moving forward. And they were really necessary from my perspective for two reasons. One, we needed agreement on the cost for pre-design to share that, and two, it really made sense to understand how it would work now, as soon as possible in terms of the structure. So we weren't just flopping around through a pre-design process wondering who's going to pay for it and what are we building. And in fact, we started that, 18 months ago when we hired, we went through the process of getting an architect firm on board. We had this vision, we'd get them going last summer and talk about the future of the library. Well, very difficult right out of the gate, because what library? Was it a combined library? How combined? Well, how are we sharing funds? How big of a library? Where will it be? Who will it serve? So we immediately had to shelve that, recognizing that process was very challenging to precede the process of how functionally the entities could come together. That's what these agreements do, is establish that process and really detail out as many scenarios as we could practically think of, including scenarios brought up by members of the public at a number of the many public sessions. So be happy to answer any questions. Those are the only changes, and otherwise this is on your agenda tonight as anticipated in 943-16 for possible action.
Any questions from council?
I have a question.
You don't get to ask a question, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Oh, you don't?
You do not. Okay, if you're going to chip in the audience, I will have you removed. Please be quiet. Any questions from council?
I'm wondering about if it gets to a place where we feel like it's out of line as far as the costs, what's our recourse?
Well, so those three key components will come back to the City Council. So design, concept design, location, and budget. And clearly we'll need to bring a fully integrated plan back that will work. So if we get to that point, we go through the pre-design process and determine that it's not feasible to build this project as we've imagined, then I would expect the council to probably first get the groups reconvened to imagine how we can get to the solution. But ultimately, this is a very critical question of cost, and if we can't get there, then we look at a different direction. And price-wise, remember, we don't have a fixed budget yet. I know that's been discussed a lot in the community. What we've talked about is a maximum debt limit without further agreement, which is that $5 million face value. But we also have a mechanism that begins saving $30,000 a month for construction as soon as this thing's going, as soon as joint operations happen. And the district, of course, is committing separately from those dollars for the FF&E and an opening day collection, which, together with the city's collection, is pretty huge when you look at the overall cost of a library project. So I don't know. That's the answer is we've got work to do. Location is key. The community needs assessment's key. And then we'll have to scale forward with construction costs. Our estimates were based upon the Ferndale Library scaled to 2017 construction and then adjusted by sizes. So really any project from 12,000 square feet to 22,000 square feet could be scaled off of the Ferndale project, and we've got estimates based on those numbers.
Anything else? Council, the next resolution number is 962-17. and that's on page 36.
I make a motion to adopt Resolution 962-17, a resolution authorizing approval of 3 interlocal agreements with the Central Skagit Rural Partial County Library District, including the Partnership Interlocal Agreement, the Building Joint Development and Ownership Interlocal Agreement, and the Library Services Interlocal Agreement.
Second.
A motion was made by Councilmember Cornegay, seconded by Councilmember Sandstrom, to approve Resolution 962-17, a resolution authorizing approval of the 3 interlocal agreements with the Central Skagit Rural Partial County Library District, including the Partnership Interlocal Agreement, the Building Joint Development and Ownership Interlocal Agreement, and the Library Services Interlocal Agreement. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, back in 2012, after the votes came in for the creation of the district library, our library director said it's too wonderful. And I know she's remained largely silent to this day, but I still believe in the vision and dream that she created back then. I think it is what a library can be, and that's what this district was created for. The process from the beginning has always been partnership first, annexation second, and that was the plan, and that's what we see today. And, you know, I'm excited to see this long process kind of brought to fruition, and so that's what I have to say.
Any other comments from council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. It carries unanimously. Next motion is 963-17.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 963-17, a resolution delegating authority to the city supervisor to contract for pre-design consultants as addressed in the Building Joint Development and Ownership Interlocal Agreement in the amount not to exceed $50,000.
Second.
The motion was made by Councilmember Johnson, seconded by Councilmember Cornegay, to adopt Resolution 963-17, a resolution delegating authority to the city supervisor to contract for pre-design consultants as addressed in the Building Joint Development and Ownership Interlocal Agreement in an amount not to exceed $50,000. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. And the motion carries. And lastly, this would be 964-17.
I make a motion to adopt Resolution 964-17, a resolution designating certain expenditures for potential reimbursement from bonds or other obligations that may be authorized and approved by the City Council for issuance in the future.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilmember Cornegay, seconded by Councilmember Kinzer, authorizing Resolution 964-17, a resolution designating certain expenditures for potential reimbursement from bonds or other obligations that may be authorized and approved by the City Council for issuance in the future. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. And it carries unanimously. That brings us to Agenda Item 7, possible adoption by resolution of the 6-year Transportation Improvement Plan 2018 to 2023. This is a second reading, and it's in your packet on page 82 through 112. And Mark?
Thank you, Mayor. So I made a presentation to the Planning Commission on June the 20th, and then to Council at your last session on the 6-year TIP from 2018 to 2023. There is also included in the information that was presented in your packet the other 14 years to 2037 as advisory presentation on the 20-year projects.
Mark, can I ask you to speak closer to that mic? That mic's always a bad one.
So tonight you'll be acting on the 6-year TIP itself from 2018 to 23. And again, if there's any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them for you.
Any questions, Council? No. I think Mark gave a quite exhaustive presentation last time. It was very impressive, a lot of work, and I thank you for that. Page 82 is a motion.
Can I ask just one question about the Jameson Overlay Project 2? Is there a Jameson overlay? Oh, I see it here.
Yes, there's 2 separate sections there just because of the size of the projects and the likelihood of being able to fund them through our current sources.
Okay. So since Jameson is considered an arterial, why is it not TIF approvable?
As far as the overlay?
Yeah.
Well, the projects are in the TIP.
No, the TIF, I'm sorry.
In the Transportation Impact Fee Fund. Maintenance projects are not generally qualified for that particular program, so they're left out of that. The impact fee ordinance, or excuse me, state law creating the impact fees is for capacity expansion. It doesn't deal with maintenance of or repair of existing facilities. It's prohibited by law to have that as part of the impact fee eligible projects.
And I should have asked this, I apologize sooner, but does the overlay allow for any other improvements to the road itself or to the design of the road on that street?
Overlays are generally limited to what you saw on Ferry Street. We are required under state law to upgrade any ramps that are substandard, the handicap ramps, so that generally happens as a part of those projects. But as far as widening of the road or doing things beyond its existing limits, that's generally not included in that particular scope. Now, we do have, in the longer-term TIP, of course, a reconstruction of Jameson Street. It's out quite a few years, so it's just illustrative at this point. So I do anticipate doing an overlay before we get to that point to rebuild the street. But it is in the longer-term TIP, as we've discussed. I think that came up from one of the audience members last time, the plans for that.
Okay. Yeah, I just think, you said basically the traffic has doubled on that street, potentially. Over the years, having been on that street with residents, I know that is just like any other concrete. Is it concrete, isn't it?
That is a concrete street.
Yeah, I mean, it rumbles everybody's houses, and now we have twice as many cars. Is there a way to move those up sooner in the process, or?
Well, we can certainly look at that. We've got a pretty aggressive program for projects over the next 20 years, as you've seen, and as I presented the last time. And Jameson is going to eventually rise up to being a priority project, but really the corridor project takes precedence on that as we understand the sequence now. But it will come up, within the 20-year period to upgrade that street.
Okay. So, Mark, Brett just said doubled. Now, that's not a number that I'm familiar with. That means 100% increase.
Yeah, okay. About 30% is what I understand.
So not 100%, 30%. But, although it's not part of the TIP, it doesn't preclude us from doing some improvements there. And as the prices come down of these pedestrian-activated crosswalks and things, I've got a bunch of them I'm looking at on my desk right now. You should come up and look. The solar-powered ones now. The price is coming down. So maybe that's something that we can put out there to alleviate some of the hazard.
Yeah, I mean, that street, it does go near to 3 school zones, so I just think it's an important arterial to focus on.
Agreed.
Yes.
So, Council, it's a second reading. The recommended motion is on page 84, and that would be Resolution 965-17.
And I would like to move that council adopt Resolution 965-17, a resolution adopting the 6-year transportation improvement program for the city of Sedro-Woolley, Washington, the years 2018 to 2023.
Second.
Okay, motion was made by Councilmember Judith Dunley. There was a tie for a second. I'll give it to Councilmember Johnson, authorizing Resolution 965-17, a resolution adopting the 6-year transportation improvement program for the city of Sedro-Woolley, Washington for the years 2018 to 2030. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Raise your hand up, Judith.
No,
oh, okay.
Sorry, just itching.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. And the motion carries. That moves us to item 8, ordinance amending the Sedro-Woolley Municipal Code to include, I'll just let Aaron, is that yours or is it Chief?
No, I'll cover this one. So this second reading regarding the drinking in public, only one modification in the ordinance from the last meeting to this meeting, and that's a change to the title of the ordinance. I cut and pasted the operative language from Section 1A3 regarding what this ordinance does into the title to more accurately reflect what the ordinance does, which is to prohibit the serving, consuming, or possessing in an open container any beer, wine, malt liquor, or other alcoholic beverage on any street, sidewalk, or alley in Sedro-Woolley. Of course, a big exception to this is if you're permitted by the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Control Board.
Any questions, Council?
Just a question. Maybe not serious, but like you've always heard the brown paper bag makes it so you can't ask. Is that true? I mean, are you legally? I mean, is that considered open carry if it's in a brown paper bag and you can't?
No, open carry is when you have your gun on your belt.
Well,
otherwise you have a CPR.
Open container. Excuse me.
I'll defer to the police chief.
No, it's. I'm with him.
We're getting worried about your making plans for January after the council. You're going to have a brown bag.
This was the last Lager Rodeo where you could have a good time on the sidewalk. It's kind of a bummer. No,
you could have gone to the beer garden at the Liberty Bistro and had a good time, or the Corral at the Woolly Market and had a good time. There are plenty of places, but walking around town with open alcohol would no longer be allowed.
But I guess, but like, at what point can you say that inside that bag is a beer can? You know it, but can you actually?
We have to be able to prove it, and you have reasonable suspicion to stop somebody that is. You have to have reasonable suspicion to deal with them in the first place. If we don't know about it, we don't see it, you're hiding in the bushes, you're drinking out of your brown paper bag, it's not going to be an issue because we don't see it. And we really can't develop anything out of that. But, this is really meant for the guy sitting on the park bench in front of the business downtown. He's drinking out of even we had the one that was drinking out of the Gatorade bottle. It wasn't Gatorade. And you go with what you've got in front of you, and it gives us an investigative tool to deal with it. And we're still going to use a whole lot of judgment. Somebody walks. We've had this happen in the past before. Somebody walks out of a bar with a drink in their hand. Is that going to be a crime? Well, technically, yes. So typically, we turn that back over to the bar to deal with the bartender to manage, or whoever's working behind the bar. So it's really going to be for somebody that's obviously causing a problem in public.
Okay.
And this doesn't prevent anybody from carrying their stuff home. Open means it's open.
Okay.
So, it's a second reading. This would be an ordinance number 1878-17, and the recommended motion is on page 113 of your packets.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 1878-17, an ordinance amending Sedro-Woolley Municipal Code 9.40.010 to include serving, consuming, or possessing in an open container any beer, wine, malt liquor, or other alcoholic beverage on any street, sidewalk, or alley as a crime.
Second.
The motion was made by Councilmember Kinzer, seconded by Councilmember Johnson. Motion to adopt ordinance 1878-17, an ordinance amending Sedro-Woolley Municipal Code 9.40.010 to include serving, consuming, or possessing in an open container any beer, wine, malt liquor, or other alcoholic beverage on any street, sidewalk, or alleyway as a crime. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. And the motion carries. No new business on the agenda. We are down to committee reports. Chief Tucker.
So my biggest news was getting Paul promoted to sergeant. Paul's been doing detective work, and that's kind of really good prep work for moving into the sergeant's position. So he's been primed for the last 3 years to do this job. And we're really looking forward to getting him out on the road and helping Sergeant McElwraith at night. That's going to leave a hole in our detectives that we're going to replace right away, and hopefully in August we'll be bringing somebody up from patrol that's shown some interest in detective work. You got to see Christina. We hope we get to keep her for a little while before she either gets hired away by somebody else or we get to send her to the academy. She's a real catch. Her husband is a deputy with the sheriff's office, so she might actually get to work with her husband. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it might be a reality. Jermaine, and I don't know who else was there at the ribbon cutting for the new jail. They said over 1,000 people showed up at that. It was a whole lot more than Will had anticipated, and it looks like a really nice facility. I'm sure I'll end up in there at some point dragging somebody in, so I didn't go in the other day. And I put on everybody's spot the new distracted driving law. That's going to be coming into effect in July 23rd. We've agreed as a group with the chiefs and sheriffs and the state patrol that this is such a sensitive issue for some people. Some people have absolutely no idea that they can't drive around talking on their cell phone. And how dangerous it is. So we're going to spend about 6 months educating the public. There'll be some people that desperately deserve to get a ticket, and they probably will. But most people will get a warning as to not driving and improperly using your cell phone. And there'll be a media blitz with the Traffic Safety Commission, and we'll put it out on Facebook. I think there's an article in the City Scene magazine coming up. And we're going to have all sorts of information put out to the public before we start taking ticket action on that. But it's a reality. The government signed it into law, and we're going to enforce the law starting July 23rd. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I was wondering how that affects like the maps, because I think that's something people only really use while they're driving. And so how would they do that? Like if they have it on one of those stands, kind of where they're not holding it,
right?
Are they like touch that legally?
Well, I mean, you have to be reasonable. If you have to type in a lengthy address and go through a bunch of processes to get to that point, then that is part of using it's no different than texting. It takes your eyes off the road. I don't know how many times you've seen somebody stop at a stoplight and they're like this. I don't know what they're looking at in their lap. Hopefully it is their phone and not something weird.
Oh my.
Yeah. But, it's really trying to get people paying attention to the road, and that's all there is to it. I'm going to instruct my officers. We're exempt from that if we're using our phones for duty, but it really doesn't look good seeing a police officer driving down the road. We have the same distraction issues that everybody else had. We'll still be able to do that when we need to, but it better be a need, and you better be able to justify it if the question comes up, because it's not safe to do. I've got the mount right on my air conditioner vent that I plug my phone in and hit one button, and Siri calls my wife and tells her when I'm going to be home. That's what our goal is, to get people just to hitting that button and doing that. Or just pull over to the side of the road. A lot of people are doing that. And I pull over every once in a while, and I see somebody pulled over on the side of the road talking on their phone. Oh, you got to do it safely.
Anybody else? Thank you, Chief. Chief Klinger.
We've had kind of an active weekend. Starting Sunday, we had the large fire in Burlington, which we had 2 vehicles. We had our ladder and our engine over there to that fire. During the exact same time, we had a structure fire in Hamilton, which we didn't respond to, but we covered all of District 8 while they were at that one. Then we had another one the following morning in Hamilton again. So they've had a rash of fires up there, and our trucks are getting well used. Unfortunately, our guys are getting well used up too. So they're been fairly active here the last few days. Which brings up, we're also on Friday we'll be advertising for our 3rd full-time person here. So we're really excited to get a little bit of help. So there'll be 3 of us now handling all this stuff. So the plan is we'll advertise, then it'll go through the period where we review the applications, testing in August, and hopefully bring it to the mayor on the end of August for appointment for the 1st of September. So that's the plan. So we also have, Lynn forgot to bring up the active shooter training starting again tomorrow, getting ready for the large drill, which will be taking place August 21st. I believe it's, August, I get stuck with it. August 21st, we're going to shoot up the high school. So just so those people that live in that neighborhood that day and early afternoon, that's going to be a rather noisy, I'm not sure the exact word. It's going to be a very chaotic scene. You'll have police, fire, ambulances, everything going on down at the high school, and it'll be a very long, drawn-out drill that we're just getting prepped for at the end of the school year. We've done all the other schools within the district up to now, so we're kind of taking our graduation exercise out at the high school. We've done all the little schools, so now it's their turn. So it should be a very good exercise for the whole county to go through. So we're looking forward to it.
Are you going to block a lot of streets?
I do believe they are.
We'll have stuff. We'll have roads blocked up. And what Dean was getting at too, if you want to stop by tomorrow between 10 and 11, this is just our planning exercise. If you want to see a little bit of this, I know Jermaine, you've been interested in some of that. Stop on by and stop at the front window. We'll be in the training room. There's nothing secret going on. We're just making the plan for the big event.
Chief Tucker, there was at one time something mentioned about we can be there to observe. Is that still an option?
Right.
On the 21st?
Yep. You got to be careful. You may be a victim too if you get too close. Absolutely. It gets. In reality, if we have a serious event like this that's going on, you all will be involved as well. I'll be calling Aaron and the mayor if they're not there with Dean and I wondering what we're doing. We need to let you all know too, because you'll have people asking you. So you are part of the process, not the immediate process, but part of the follow-on part of the process to kind of stabilize things. So absolutely, you're welcome to attend.
Thank you.
Is that everything, Chief?
Yes, sir.
John?
Nothing, thank you.
Mark?
Just an update for you on a few things. The historic downtown sign that has been on order for several weeks is scheduled to deliver either the 14th or 17th, and we'll install it shortly thereafter. That's out on Cook Road.
Okay, thank you.
Also, the Cascade Trail project that's going on along Highway 20 is coming along pretty well. It's a little bit ahead of schedule. The pipe should be done in about 2 weeks. It's going quicker now that we've gotten the squash pipe in and are putting in the round black pipe. And they'll be following up, starting to install curbs and sidewalks behind that even this week. And we expect that whole project to be done by the end of August, or if not slightly sooner. David is ready to advertise for the sewer project for the year. That'll go out on Thursday, and we'll be looking for bids in 2 weeks on that and starting that a little later. That one is important to get out as early as we can because we are lining the sewer line under one of the schools that has an old line that runs actually right under the building, and we want to do that before the students are back in session in September. Beyond that, our city crews have completed all of their preparatory work for the chip seal projects, and we're just waiting on the county now. I think Nathan or I mentioned last time that the county's not going to be able to do as much chip seal as we had originally hoped, so we are going to do overlays on the streets that we're not planning or not able to chip seal, so it's going to be good, a better product really than you would have seen otherwise. We can't do quite as much, but we'll do a pretty good job on what you will see. And you approved on the consent calendar tonight the TIB-funded emergency repair project, and that's scheduled to start on the 24th. It'll take about a week, and that's going to patch in a number of our arterial streets, including Township and Trail Road, among others, places that are getting to alligatored, but most of the pavement's still in decent shape. That'll preserve those for a few more years until we can get to an overlay on those projects. Finally, I'm working on the TIB applications. They're due on August the 18th. I have in hand the partnership letter of support. We approached that project as a partnership between the port and the county and the city, and the county and the port have already, their boards have acted to approve the signature of that, and their executives have signed that, and I have that original I received today. Since you've approved that in the past, I don't know that any action by you is required. I just wanted you to be aware of that, and I'll have that for the mayor to sign, to have that ready to go into the applications on August the 18th. And at the next council session, I will bring a report and a request for match funding for the 3 grants. You have already approved the Fruitdale project in the past, but I expect the estimate to go up slightly, so I'll look at the match requirements and give you my best guess on how we'll fund our part of those projects. The other 2, again, we're going to apply for under the sidewalk funds. We're hoping to get a couple of $100,000 to complete the sidewalk/path that we're going to build between Township and Fruitdale on the north side of Highway 20. As you'll recall, we received $300,000 from the Economic Development Funds from Skagit County for that project, and there'll be impact fees coming from the Gateway Plaza that's under construction there that'll support that project. And then finally, we're going to reapply for overlay funds. We've been getting them about every other year, so we think we're due this time. But we are asking for a lot of money from the state this time. We'll just see how that goes. Anyway, that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions for Mark? Aaron.
Just 2 items in the back of the packet on page 125. I was pleased to see our wastewater treatment plant continue to get the award for successfully operating the plant and conforming to its NPDES permit. And on page 126, just a reminder that the city's hosting the primary election candidates forum right here in this room a week from tonight, 6 p.m. Don Wicks here is sizing up the room tonight to be prepared for the forum, and this will be just like the forums that we run in 14 and 15. It'll be a single panel of 9 candidates, and Don will take questions from the audience and opening statements, that basically the exact same format. So we printed. Well, I guess we printed about 4,000 of these invitations. They were mailed to every utility account holder in the city. And, of course, we've put word out on Facebook and to the local press. So hopefully we get a good turnout. It's the first time we've done a primary election forum, so a little different. And that's all I've got.
Okay, so you stole a little bit of our thunder up here on the wastewater treatment plant, but you did a bad job because that sounded really bland, and it reads, wastewater treatment plant, outstanding performance. So you got to emphasize that. You made it sound like they did their normal everyday job, but they're outstanding.
Well, if you ask Debbie, that's what she'd say. We make clean water day in, day out, 7 days a week, and no question, you're quite right, they do an excellent job.
All right, Judith.
Well, let's see, I was at the jail opening yesterday, and all I have to say was, that was a lousy picture of you.
I think it was a selfie.
Yeah,
Didn't it look like one? That's what I thought.
And if anybody in the city notices new business licenses, you might have noticed that my name came across. I am forming my own business beginning August 1st.
Ah, well, very good. Shameless self-promotion, but
Absolutely.
Congratulations. Anything else, Judith? Jermaine.
Speaking of the jail, I just wanted to say I didn't get to go through because there was so many people, but I think they're doing another one. Is it Saturday?
Saturday.
12?
Yeah, worth going.
Yeah, for the public, for anyone who wants to go. And so that's in South Mount Vernon, basically. So
we'll also be able to put people in there this fall too. So.
So I just wanted to say that I had a really good time at the Logger Rodeo. The whole thing was so amazing, and the fireworks show is the best. I've been to so many around, and I've actually even gone to Seattle. The only thing better about theirs is that they do music with theirs, which is great. But our fireworks show was phenomenal. I'm just floored at. I just can't even speak enough about it. But it was such a great event, and we had a good long one, so I'm pretty sure that brought a lot of money in for the city. And I just wanted to kind of update folks on, I did the recycling thing over that whole 4 days, and basically by myself, but I think that, Carl did a lot of help too. And I wanted to say that I collected 43, well, technically 46 bags, but the Eagles Club took care of their own. And but I sorted through them, and there was just a very small amount of garbage, mostly straws, because people are trying, So there's a lot of straws and some paper towels and stuff like that, but just like less than 1%. And out of all those bags of nothing but plastic bottles and cans. And so I had just 4 sites, just 4 places: the Carnival, the Eagles, American Legion, and the carving site, and that was it. And so I would love to see us do that every year. Because just one person just collected 43, basically 46 bags, and that's a lot that we saved from the city dump. So
nice job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jermaine.
I'll take it.
Brenda.
I have nothing.
Julia.
I just want to make people aware that August 26th at Eagle Haven there is a fundraiser, Toys for Tots. It's a great fundraiser. Last year I think they raised close to $36,000, and they're hoping to do the same. So keep that in mind. You can go online, Eagle Haven's website, and check it out. But I hope that you have opportunity to participate in that. And I just want to say that on topping even what you and Aaron had to say regarding the treatment plant, the woman who sent the letter, her name is Heather Bartlett. She's the Water Quality Program Manager. She actually is quoted as saying that it takes a diligent operator and strong team management who work effectively together to achieve this high level of compliance. And it's really true. And I think something that wasn't said is that this is actually the 4th year in a row that they have received that. So it's phenomenal.
Julia wins. Yeah, that was the best job. Thanks for making us look bad. I deserved it, right, for picking on Aaron. Brett?
Over the last year or so, we've heard from people in our audience asking for more discourse between the public and the council, and I've suggested we do open houses or forums or something like that. But I came up with an idea today that I think that I would like to know if the council is interested in pursuing. But after public comment, allow the city council to address or make statements based off of questions or concerns raised at the public forum, maybe for a shortened time, sort of similar to the time limit that the public is given, but just an opportunity to allow a little bit more interplay. Good word. Thanks.
We've actually had discussion on this in the work session.
Okay.
And we're working on new procedures, which I know it's taken a long time, but it's complicated. But I think I agree in principle with you.
So I just think it's, if I saw lots of heads nodding in agreement. So I just think it's something that we should discuss, sooner than later. But, it's an overdue process, and it allows for people who can't stay or don't want to stay to hear a response. And so we don't have the criticism that the city council, is deaf, dumb, or stupid. And I just think, it's a criticism that rings a little true. So I would like to see that.
Well, if the shoe fits.
They have maybe one more comment.
Yes.
So I don't know, something maybe that you're aware of or not aware of is that the council meets in public, but it's not a public meeting. So it's actually a courtesy on the council's part to have public comment. But having said that, I want to let you know we want to hear your comments. They are important to us. And, like I say to the mayor once in a while, we'll just have to agree to disagree sometimes. But, it's good that you come, and it's good that you comment.
Anything else? Okay, my turn. So, Largo Rodeo was fantastic. Dottie Chandler's not here, but she stepped in. It was her first year. What a great job. It set a record for the quick car auction. Best year they ever had. Doug Wood, who helped run the rodeo out there, the rodeo proper, did such a fantastic job. And I want to thank all our sponsors and all the great people that worked hard on that, and also our staff who never get the 4th of July weekend off because they're running the parades and doing things like moving trash cans. And are you telling on him? Did he get it off? Once in 25 years, Klinger got the day off. So it was a fantastic 4th of July weekend, and I appreciate all the work that everybody did. I want to talk a little bit about the library. For those of you who were against this, I understand you're disappointed, but I hope you'll go home and kind of look at it with new eyes as we go forward, because this wasn't an ending night. Something didn't end here. Something just started here. And you still have time to helping us come up with a good solution, the best solution that we can come up with. And I believe in my heart that it's the best for the city. As Joy said, we may have to disagree on that, but it doesn't mean that I want to shut you out of the process or not listen to your ideas going forward. I just leave that out there as an olive branch to all of you who I know had strong feelings about this and had good intentions, but we just disagree. So, without objection, we stand adjourned. Thank you all for coming.